Welcome to another flippin' episode of the Back Catalogue Podcast. This is the podcast where we just do things. And by we, I mean me, Apple, my co-host / co-founder Vincent. We dive into the streaming services and we tell you, the listener and the viewer, what is worth it and what is not. Vincent, I'm feeling happy today, you know?
Yeah, and
There's happiness abound.
You might be wondering why Apo said flippin'. It's because we got the collars.
We got the collars, man. This is strictly like safe for work.
That's right, strictly safe for work. We've got the work attire on. I mean, I don't have pants on, but I've got the top. You know, I've got the work from home setup going.
You got the work from home attire, and that's something that's of this generation. That's of the COVID generation.
That's right.
That we live in.
That's right.
And that's just the way that we live. Now, I apologize again I've got the worst lighting in here, so I've got the raccoon eyes going again. Very just dark eyes, but I am positive today. You know, I'm not dark in spirit. I'm positive in spirit. I'm light in spirit, you know. But Vincent, we're here, and we are doing episode 4 of whatever that show is, Moon Knight. The Tomb.
The Tomb.
The episode is called The Tomb. So, Vincent, should we get into this flippin' thing?
Let's get into this, and I'm just gonna give you the absolute review on the get-go, from the get-go.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, like, this has redeemed this series for me. Bro, I don't know about you, but this is one of the wildest episodes of TV I have experienced in a long time.
I don't agree. I agree with some elements of what you said, but I also got real upset. Like, I'm saying flipping now because I want to say the other effing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. I have an inkling of what you have issue with, which I'm sure I'll take issue with once you've raised it. But right now, bro, I'm telling you, I was watching this and it was like half kind of suspenseful horror almost with these mummy looking things. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm not talking metaphorical, like there's too many pillows on my couch. There was no room for me. I was on the edge of my seat.
So let's just quickly like give a roundup of rundown of what is happening in this episode. So the idea is they Stephen Grant's and Natalie?
Kayla.
Not
Is
Natalie.
it Kayla? Layla?
Layla. I wasn't even close.
Layla.
But they find the tomb that they've been looking for.
Amit's
the tomb of Amit. I got people at the door. And they find the tomb, and essentially they have to try to get to Amit's tomb before the bad guys get there. And that's where we're at. That's this whole episode. It's them walking through there, working things out, you know, using the history of Egypt. Hold up, let me just get this door because otherwise there's gonna be people knocking. I'll be back.
All right. I'm just gonna look at you know what's going on here. Oh, he's back already. All right, that was quick.
I'm back. It's all right. Someone else got the door. So they go into there, but wild things do happen.
Yeah.
So initially, you know, when I was saying in the last episode that I was really wanting to see something different and something unique to this story.
Dude, Kevin came through for you.
He came through. There was genuinely some horrifying mummy thing. I don't know what it was.
Dude.
I'm assuming it was.
And I'm glad they didn't show it.
They yeah, you're right.
You didn't get you know, obviously Layla was fighting it. But you just didn't know what was going on for so much of the time where they were in that space.
So they go into the tomb and they find this spot where there's these like mummy things in the background and they're talking about them. So I'm assuming one of the things that was in the background was this, but it sort of escaped its cement tomb and then got out. But in the background you see there's a lot of blood and things. There's shooting going on in the background and people screaming. And you're thinking, I wonder what they're shooting at. Like, has Amit come out? Is Amit, you know, out there getting shot at, or is it something else? And it turns out to be something else. This creature that comes out was anthropomorphic, but it was very much animal-like. It had this clicking sound that was genuinely horrifying.
Yeah, no, that was, it was like mummifying heads, like right then and there. And we're not talking like they're dead. It's a live mummification.
Yeah, it was literally ripping out organs to put in the canopic jars.
Yeah.
And it just had a whole bunch of them sitting there. It was scary. There's a bit in which Layla is literally a mere half a meter away from this thing, and it hears her around there, so it starts moving around this area, and it's making this. If you go watch that, you have to watch it because it's making this horrifying clicking sound. And you're on as Vinny said, like even if you haven't got pillows, you are on the edge of your seat because you don't know what's going to happen. You're terrified
there was
as to what this
so much
thing can
suspense.
I reckon that they took some ideas in a good way, paid homage to this movie that's called The Descent. Have you ever seen The Descent, Vincent?
No, I haven't.
If you want to feel like how you felt in that, 3-minute scene, if you want to feel like that for a whole movie length,
I don't think I could do that.
Bro, I could get into a review of The Descent right now because that is a genuinely good horror movie and terrifying horror movie. I'm just going to give you a synopsis. It's about this group of friends, and they all go into this cave to do some cave diving and things. Little do they know that there is creatures down there. So they're in amongst caves. They're between walls that only they're.
Yeah, that's terrifying to me.
And there's monsters in there, similar, very very similar to what we saw in this here show. I did enjoy that bit. I really enjoyed that bit, and that was, they heard us. They thought, we got to listen to what the back catalogue's saying because they've got their ears to the ground.
That's right. We're on the streets.
And by ears to the ground, and by ears to the ground, we genuinely mean like our views are so low that like it's on the ground, and we as individuals are on the ground because we get to bed every night. We can't even make it onto the bed because we think about what we're really doing.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I was following any of that, but let's just continue. For the fans.
I think that it got a bit strange though, that section when Layla like went into the hole. I don't know what they were going for there, but I didn't really appreciate that as much. But it was very good. It was very good.
The hole.
You know how she gets pulled into that, like the crevasse.
Yeah, the thing was trying to I don't know, get her to like mummify her.
No, I know that, but there was like the way that they did it. It was very they were going for something which I just didn't think fit the tone of it.
Yeah,
the way that she got pulled in, it was like something from the Babadook, which in itself is a fantastic movie as well, set in South Australia. And that's just movie things for you to go and do your own research on. What else did you like about this episode, Vincent? Because there was. Compared to a lot of the episodes, I actually, for the most part, enjoyed this.
Yeah, I like.
It wasn't until the back end that I.
Yeah, I knew that was where you.
But we'll get into that though. We'll get into that.
I liked the whole. There was no Moon Knight here. It was just Grant Stevens and Mark Spector, and they were doing archaeology things. I wish there was a bit more. I mean, Grant Stevens gets in there and being like, "Yeah, bro, I'm drawing the Eye of Horus. Like, we know where we're going now." It was kind of like...
I just love that you call him Grant Stevens still. No, keep doing it though. I do enjoy it.
I keep doing it. But that needed to be... I feel like that needed to be a bit more kind of, archaeological rather than just being like, yeah, bro, it's the tongue, that's it, let's go this way or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there is... It could have been fleshed out a bit more, and there could have been some more discoveries along the way that led them to the place, which would have been more, I guess, fascinating and exciting for the viewer and the listener. If you're just doing this auditory,
But I just like to see them go through, and they're rocking up to the place. There's no one there. It was a real suspenseful episode, and I really liked that about it because it was so different to a lot of the other ones and a lot of the other ones we've seen. Because it had that kind of horror element, and then obviously the thing with they found the tomb. They had some revelations. Obviously, what's his name? They found out that Grant Stevens Mark Spector was there when Layla's dad died, which, whatever.
That scene was, again, we've talked about this many times, and I think this is just a trope of movies at this point. I think we realised from our, tremendous amount of study into movies and TV that people just don't use their words appropriately.
No, absolutely
this
not.
could be solved, and Grant Stevens wouldn't have been shot.
Dude, Grant Stevens absolutely.
Well, in this case, I think it was Mark Spector. But if they had just said, "Hey, look, I appreciate that you're upset, but let's talk about it once we're away from, the evil monsters and bad people."
I know.
I mean, anger's a hell of a drug, though.
Anger is a hell of a drug, and maybe she was in flight, fight, or freeze, and she was like, "I'm fighting. I'm not flighting, and I'm not freezing. I'm fighting right here, right now."
Do we need to market that and put that on the t-shirt? Like, are you in fight, flight, or freeze? And that's just the question mark.
Are you in flight,
and then
fight,
that's
or
for
freeze?
people to.
Do you want anything?
Yeah. Because they might want something, but they're in either fight, flight, or freeze.
That's right, and it never hurts to ask the question.
Are you getting beaten up by a guy? You're just like, but do you want anything? Like, why is this happening? Why am I getting beaten up? Do you want something?
Oh man, but
no.
yeah, that was the main part that I liked about it. Just that whole. I mean, I'm trying to think of the faults with the first part because we won't get into the facilities.
No, we won't get into that yet. No, I think that that initial scene where they had to put some action in there early, obviously, with that initial they're running away from the car that's shooting at them.
Yeah. That was hilarious.
I think that was just a scene.
That was hilarious because they rock up to Mark Spector there. He's on the ground. They're like, "Yeah, I think he's dead." And then just like looking at him, they're just there. They're both in the car. Neither of them are getting out. They're just looking at the man's face down on the sand. Also, they saw Layla and Mark. They were shooting at them. They were driving to them. It's a sand dune. There's not foliage to go hide behind. It's sand. How did they not find them?
And also, these are bad people, right? I don't think that they're against shooting a man while he's dead just to make sure.
Yeah,
just double tap
that's
the folk.
that's right. If that's their objective.
Like they go back, they drive all the way back to like mainland Egypt. They're in the space, right? They're in the place, and they go on. So did you kill the man? They're like, well, look, we saw him on the ground. I assumed that he was dead. We could go back there and check, but I mean, we're in mainland Egypt now. Like, we can't go back.
Honestly,
I think that was obviously another opportunity for us to see that Layla in herself is worthy of the Moon Knight gear. She is badass. She is able to complete tasks that not only require brains, but require brawn and bravery as well. The 3 Bs, she's got them all.
She's got 3 Bs.
LeVar Ball's looking at her and she's like, you could be a part of the BBB. And that's Big Bowler Brand, is what I'm talking about. And that's a reference that's very old at this point, but that's a reference. So
it's a reference nevertheless. And that's what we're about here. I was just going to say, I like that we can have an episode in which it's Mark Spector or it's Stephen Grant. We can just have an episode where you don't need a Moon Knight suit. You don't need that exciting thing. You can just, and that was what was cool about the first episode as well, where we were intrigued by what was going on from a human perspective. Yeah, honestly,
from the human characters within it.
I think the Moon Knight almost detracts from the show at this point. The things that I've disliked the most are when Moon Knight is involved, which is a shame because Moon Knight is a cool character.
I know, it looks cool as well.
Yeah.
When they showed like the recap of the last week in the episode, and you see like Moon Knight jumping and his cape looks like the crescent moon, I was like, that's pretty cool. But also in the motion of everything, I didn't even care for that. But you're right. I appreciate the Oscar Isaac, and I mean, if you got Oscar Isaac, you're going to use him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine you paid all this money for Oscar Isaac, and he's under the suit the whole time.
Well, I mean, they've paid off all this money for Oscar Isaac, and they've just like, well, we're going to put 2 of them in there. So should we get into this next part? Is there anything else you want to say about the? I will say the first part of the episode.
No, I can't think of anything more other than that, because there wasn't really much before that, was there? Before they
Not
got
really.
to the tomb?
No, it was just the tomb thing. I mean, it was Harrow talking to Layla. I mean, Harrow's he's a cool character.
He is.
I like
I mean,
him as a villain or the other man's.
Huh? Antagonist? What do you mean? What do you mean the other man's?
As in the other man's in the show, you know? He's like, you got the man's and you
Right,
got the
because
other
he
man's.
might not be a villain. He
Yeah,
might not be a
that's
villain,
right.
is what you're saying.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, I think he's good. You know, Ethan Hawke, I always enjoy movies that he's in. He seems to be a real good actor. And he's also quite menacing, but also calm at the same. And I like that he hasn't shifted from that. You know how there's those calm people that they go, oh, and they start screaming and
Yeah,
stuff?
they start throwing
And it's like,
hands.
oh, he's broken. Yeah, but this guy has kept his cool.
Yeah.
Which is good. Let's get into the last bit.
Yeah,
So
I want you to.
the
I
last
want
bit
you
of
to
this
talk
show,
about.
the last bit of this episode, Mark Spector and Stephen Grant, they're one and the same, get shot. And he falls back into this water. He gets shot by Harrow. He falls back into this water and he starts sinking down into the water. And then it transitions to this movie that, like this old, 60s, 70s looking movie in which the lead character is called Dr. Stephen Grant. And then it transitions from that into a asylum of sorts, a mental health facility in which there are all the characters that we have seen in this show and that we've paid more close attention to, as either patients within this place, or consumers as they call them, or as workers within the space.
Yeah, and there's a lot of imagery that is what the scenes of where the German looking town.
Yeah,
they were at in the
right.
in the first episode.
It's a painting on the wall. There's the thing that Stephen Grant wakes up with he has that ankle bracelet that keeps him on his bed in the first couple episodes. That's on this wheelchair that Mark Spector has within that space. Because in this space, Mark Spector is the person.
Yeah.
And the condition that he has is that he has multiple personalities, one of those being Stephen Grant. And they have to sedate him heavily to avoid Stephen Grant coming out and whatever it happens to be. I think that if you approach that in a movie or in a TV show, now, because what we know about this is not much. For all we know that this could be purgatory. It's not actually, he was dreaming it the whole time, which I don't assume it will be.
No, because given there was a hippo, like an anthropomorphic hippo, I don't think he was dreaming it. I don't think this is a dream. Sorry, I don't think this is real life.
Yeah. I think it's more of a purgatory thing, which is fine, and purgatory can be weird and wacky. The issue that I don't like, the issue that I have with this is that Oscar Isaac said in an interview, and I'll keep harping on this because it's important.
I mean, he
said in an interview that we're going to take mental health seriously. Okay, and I think that that's very good because mental health is something that affects everyone. And especially in the last 2 years, 3 years, however long it's been, it's affected a lot of people. So for us to go into this space, which is very highly focused on mental health, which is a mental health facility, and it's that classic clinical white, everyone's wearing gowns that are the same, everyone's quirky and weird and like pulling out their hair and like hiding in corners and whatnot. The classic thing that we see in TV shows. What this does is it makes people with mental health seem like they need to be locked up and in some other facility. And yes, there are people who need to have stricter measures and take higher doses of medication and need to be in a space, a forensic mental health space in which they might be in a prison-like space or whatever it happens to be. But showing this, the way that they showed it in this episode, just makes people think that people with mental health issues are crazy.
Yeah,
That's not the case.
especially I think especially because you've got the main character Oscar Isaac as someone who you've seen in the first 3 and 3/4 episodes, just out and about doing things, and he's like, yeah, this guy's fine, and he absolutely is in the show. Obviously he's got the two individuals that are taking a hold of his body, but yeah, you've got that, and you're going, well, kind of the message you're sending is like, well, mans need to be locked away.
Yeah, he's got something that's different about him, and he can't cope with it, so he needs to be locked away. The other issue that it adds is that Mark Spector's in this space, and his role is to get out of there. So he's been so heavily sedated that he can't get out of there, but once the medication wears off, his role is to get out of there, which again just shows you don't want to be in these places that support your mental health.
That's right. It's
you
like
want
a prison.
You want to run away from these places. It is like prison. That's exactly right. Which I don't think is taking mental health seriously. I think it's, again, pushing back all the work that people have done on mental health for ages.
That's right.
Even bloody Falcon and the Winter Soldier, they at least went to a therapist in that show,
Yeah,
and it was
that's right.
what therapy looks, or sort of what therapy looks like, I guess, where it was people just talking to each other about things.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was more stylized, and they probably like threw a couple punches while they were in therapy, but that's that's Marvel thing. But yeah, that is the one element where I got to that, and I was like, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to take it here when you specifically said
I know.
we're going to take it seriously?
Yeah. See, when I was watching that, I was not thinking about that at all. I was still 100% immersed in the episode. But upon reflection of that, it's very clear that it's not a good depiction of what that would be, but also not a good message to send the masses, essentially.
Yeah. Now, there is an interesting element, which is the hippo coming out at the end. So the Egyptian hippo goddess looking person. I'm interested in that because there was that lady from the last episode who was very interested in helping Mark Spector. When there was the group of all the...
I wonder if...
this
what are
they called? What are they called?
Yeah, the
Avatars.
Master of all 4 elements. This person was the ancient Egyptian goddess of childbirth and fertility. The hippo.
Yes, right. But what did that lady
episode
play
3?
a role in the last episode? Episode 3, I believe, at least.
Let's have a look.
Yeah, it was, because that's when they lost Khonshu.
They lost Khonshu, bro. They lost him. They can't find him. They looked under the desk. They can't find him.
He's gone, man. He's gone for eternity.
No, I don't think so. That was the goddess of love.
So it wasn't the goddess of fertility.
No, I'm just looking at this lady. Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't the same person. It's not the same person.
So what you're telling me, Vincent, is that there really hasn't been any things that we've gotten right now or ever in regards to Marvel things. Well, that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's right.
And we'll have those. We'll take those L's occasionally. I mean, we'll take those L's occasionally.
Yeah, I just want to say that the actual, the real issue with that whole scene at the end, that I think personally, is Harrow had a pen that he was flashing around, saying like, a dog can see this and he can eat it. They didn't like take the wrapper off the pen. So
right,
I've got one of them pens. It's not a yellow one.
Is this going to be like
visual.
full on pen?
So
okay,
this is one of the pens that it was like. There was like a brown paper ring on the bottom of where the cap clicks on. Bro, they didn't take that off. So
and they should have taken that off.
Well, can't use the pen with that on.
So that might be a sign that they're not really there, bro.
That's right.
They might not be really there, bro.
That's right.
Look, it is intriguing to see what happens next. And it would be great if the last episode is just like a 45-minute therapy session and it's like, oh, this is what it actually looks like. Like, imagine they do that. Like that would be, you know, at least they made up for all the stuff that they said they were going to do.
Yeah, so
Vincent,
far
I
Oscar
give-
Isaac is just spitting lies.
I would say the first 3/4 of this episode is the second best in my opinion so far. The first one is
first one's still king.
above the rest.
Yeah.
That's well above the rest. But this episode for me is the second, and I really, you know, I could go back tonight and watch that scene again with Layla and that creature.
Yeah,
because that was great.
This was a good episode, I thought. I thought this was a good episode.
Vincent, though, can I tell you something, bro?
Tell me something, bro.
I think that it is about time that we tell them that, listen, there's a lot of people going into isolations. There's a lot of people having to take 7 days, 5 days, wherever you happen to be living in, off of work, off of life. You can sign up to the Patreon for $2, and every single day you can get so much content. Now, I'm talking to people specifically. I've talked to several people who are in isolation at the moment. I said, sign up to the Patreon. It's $2. You can stop after your week of isolation. And let me tell you one thing, Vincent. Can I tell them one thing? You won't want to stop after your week of isolation because it's good content over there.
Bro, when you were saying that, I thought you were gonna spit some mental health, well-being, self-help for these heads. But you're just trying to plug our Patreon.
You and I need the self-help. We're the heads that need it. We're doing a podcast for 20 people, you know, which I mean is pretty exciting. I mean, that's what I've wanted to do for my whole life, just to have other people listen to me.
Man,
I got issues that I'll deal with in time, but I'll still do the podcast regardless.
just do the podcast. I mean, you have to, really.
Just won't be as erratic. But Vincent, I think we can tell them where they can find us, though. I think we can.
Well, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. That's all. Oh, YouTube. If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe. We did actually just get a comment today. Someone said, awesome blokes. We're not affiliated with this individual, so, I mean, take it from Jets FFA. Like, we're awesome blokes.
Hey, but they subscribed, and we appreciate that.
They subscribed, that's right, and that's absolutely
That's
10 out of
right.
10. That's it.
10 out of 10.
What else do you want to say?
I'm just going to say talk soon, man.
Hey, talk soon.